It turns out that the Oracle of ancient Greece holds the secret key that shows us the path forward. Now, recent geological research has shown that the Temple of Apollo, where the most famous oracle sat, was actually built over 2 earthquake faults. And these faults would release these petrochemical fumes from underneath the Earth's crust. And the oracle literally sat right above these faults, inhaling enormous amounts of ethylene gas, these fissures. It's true. It's all true. And that's what made her babble and hallucinate and go into this trance-like state. She was high as a kite. So how did anyone get any useful advice out of her in this state? Well, you see those people surrounding the oracle, you see those people holding her up because she's like a little woozy, and you see that guy on your left-hand side holding the orange notebook. Well, those were the temple guides, and they worked hand in hand with the oracle. When inquisitors would come and get on their knees, that's when the temple guides would get to work. Because then after they asked their questions, they would observe their emotional state, and then they would ask them follow-up questions like, hey, why do you want to know this prophecy? Who are you? What are you going to do with this information? And then the temple guides would take this more ethnographic, this more qualitative information and interpret the oracle's babblings. So the oracle didn't stand alone, and neither should our big data systems. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that big data systems are, huffing ethylene gas or that they're even giving invalid predictions. The total opposite. But what I am saying is that in the same way that the oracle needed her temple guides, our big data systems need them too. They need people like ethnographers and user researchers who can gather what I call thick data. This is precious data from humans, like stories, emotions, and interactions that cannot be quantified. It's the kind of data that I collected for Nokia that comes in the form of a very small sample size, but delivers incredible depth of meaning. And what makes it so thick and meaty is the experience of understanding the human narrative. And that's what helps us see what's missing in our models. Thick data grounds our business questions in human questions. And that's why integrating big and thick data forms a more complete picture. Big data is able to offer insights at scale and leverage the best of machine intelligence, whereas thick data can help us rescue the context loss that comes from making big data usable, and it leverages the best of human intelligence. And when you actually integrate the two, that's when things get really fun, because then you're no longer just working with data you've already collected. You get to also work with data that hasn't been collected. You get to ask questions about why. Why is this happening? Now, when Netflix did this, they unlocked a whole new way to transform their business. Now, Netflix is known for their really great recommendation algorithm, and they have this $1 million prize for anyone who could improve it. And there were winners. But Netflix discovered that the improvements were only incremental. So to really find out what was going on, they hired an ethnographer, Grant McCracken, to gather thick data insights. And what he discovered was something that they hadn't seen initially in the quantitative data. He discovered that people loved binge watching. In fact, people didn't even feel guilty about it. They enjoyed it. So Netflix was like, oh, this is a new insight. So they went to their data science team, and they were able to scale this thick data insight with their quantitative data. And once they verified it and validated it, Netflix decided to do something very simple but impactful. They said, instead of offering the same show from different genres or more of the different shows from similar users, we'll just offer more of the same show. We'll just make it easier for you to binge watch. And they didn't stop there. They did all these things to redesign their entire viewer experience to really encourage binge watching. It's why people and friends disappear for whole weekends at a time, catching up on shows like Masters of None. By integrating big data and thick data, they not only improved their business, but they transformed how we consume media. And now, their stocks are projected to double in the next few years. But this isn't just about, watching more videos or selling more smartphones. For some, Integrating thick data insights into the algorithm could mean life or death, especially for the marginalized. All around the country, police departments are using big data for predictive policing to set bond amounts and sentencing recommendations in ways that reinforce existing biases. NSA's Skynet machine learning algorithm has possibly aided in the deaths of thousands of civilians in Pakistan from misreading cellular device metadata. As all of our lives become more automated, from automobiles to health insurance or to employment, it is likely that all of us will be impacted by the quantification bias. Now, the good news is that we've come a long way from huffing ethylene gas to make predictions. We have better tools, so let's just use them better. Let's integrate the big data with the thick data. Let's bring our temple guides with the oracles. And whether this work happens in companies or nonprofits or government or even in the software, all of it matters. Because that means we're collectively committed to making better data, better algorithms, better outputs, and better decisions. This is how we'll avoid missing that something.